The end of the year means a time for lists. And who loves a list quite like Eat, Drink, Smoke? Nobody. Nobody at all. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. We are getting ready. It is a 1-2 punch. Our bourbons of the year, which could be ryes, which could be beers, which could be soft drinks. It is not. And our cigars of the year. That is what's coming out. Fingers Malloy. It is the most wonderful time of the year.
Well, you just totally threw a spoiler alert out there when you said it could be sodas, but then you said it's not. Well, actually it is. My number one on the list, Peeps Pepsi.
You're an idiot. We did do a review of Peeps Pepsi. You can go back and find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com, and we suggest that you do, and make sure you get the podcast. Lots of people do bourbons of the year, do cigars of the year. We have a very unique way of doing it. Unlike any other show in America, we guess. It is absolutely one of those Velcro dartboards and one of those round balls that has, and we throw it. That's the choice. That's how we come to our answers, Fingers.
And that's where we got Peeps Pepsi, number one on the list.
We do not do a top 10. We do a top 3 for a couple reasons. First, laziness. We're not doing 10, people. We're not doing 10 because we don't do point scales here. If you know the show at all and our reviews of cigars and bourbon, we are talking about what it is we're experiencing. We're talking about price point. Then we're asking, is it in our humidor? Is it in our liquor cabinet? The entire philosophy of Eat, Drink, Smoke is to be introductory to ideas and thoughts and not be to engage in any level of exclusion or pretend our egos are bigger than what they are.
That, and let's face it, a top 10 list when we did probably about 47 reviews this year.
Right.
Percentage-wise, that's carry the 1, 13, that's like 20%.
Yeah. Except it's like 25%.
20,
Wait,
47,
47,
47,
10, let me take out my shoe. X to the third. You're right. You're right.
I mean, because we did mixed drinks, we're not going to say the Tommy J is the number one bourbon of the year. That was right around the 4th of July when we did that review of a cocktail that I believe was that exclusive to Blend Bar Cigar here in Indianapolis, the Tommy J. Do you remember?
We bring it to America, so now it's America's drink. Right there. But when we do a review, and you of course, everybody's got their reviews at the end of the year, we make it a point to really try and create the differentiator. Some people are just full of crap, Fingers.
Yes.
And some of them are lovely and full of crap. They're just full of crap. They're trying to show themselves up. What is it that we remember when you actually think back at your year, as people often do at this time of the year? They lean back with a fine cocktail or a fine drink, and they're like, let me reflect upon the year. What stands out? That's the criteria that we utilize for our bourbon or rye or whatever it is, or our cigar. What stood out as we go back through the entire litany? And you created it. You went out like, all right, we reviewed this and this, and we have the whole spreadsheet. And then, of course, we've got eatdrinksmokeshow.com. What stood out? And there are a couple that stood out. And I found it interesting that you and I had one both in our top 2.
Yes.
We had one specific bourbon, both in our top 2. We don't do these things together. But when you talk about standing out, and there's still so much happening in the bourbon world, one of the biggest things that happened this week is that they were able to get the European tariffs off of the whiskey. There was a moment where tariffs, which are taxes, a tax from Europe, 50% on bourbon and whiskey from the U.S., that has been avoided. There will be no tax. Huge, huge benefit to the manufacturers, to the distillers. They're going to be able to make some good money from this. But when you go through it, Fingers, and you're looking back at your year, and people do this all the time. They're taking a look right now at their liquor cabinets, getting ready, what they're going to do for Christmas, what they're going to do for New Year's, and what they're going to give away, what they wouldn't order again, what they would. What to you brings about the concept of memorable?
Well, when I came up with my list, I always want to have one bottle that's an incredible value. It's not the best bourbon in the world, but it's a bottle that you can buy. You get the most bang for your buck from it, that you could drink neat, but also you don't have a problem putting it in an old fashioned or some sort of cocktail. Then I also like to find a bourbon that maybe is new to the market, or something that we hadn't seen before, that really gave us a great experience. And then, of course, trying to be more of a traditionalist, finding something that, okay, you pick it up, you say to yourself, oh, this is a classic bourbon. To me, that's kind of the criteria I went with when I came up with my list. How about you?
When I went through, I asked myself two questions, nothing having to do with price. I didn't pay attention to price at all, because memorable is memorable in my world. And I asked myself, what gave me genuine surprise and joy? Mm-hmm. What, when I tried it, made me say, now that I wasn't ready for. That's everything I could have asked for. That kind of thing. So there are some bourbons that we tried that are super unique. Well, there's nothing wrong with unique, but that's not necessarily memorable. That it had a hook, that it had a shtick, that it had a something, that's solid. But it wasn't enough. And you were asking about a bourbon earlier, and it's eluding me right now, that I think hit the okay, that's cool, but it didn't make my list.
Rattle and Snap.
Rattle and Snap is absolutely it.
Tennessee whiskey, I believe. Yeah.
And it was super weird and interesting. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't make my top 3 list, because while it was interesting, it did not bring for me, compared to the other ones, that idea of memorable, that idea of just overall a kind of joy, like this is what I wanted.
See, and it's funny because that almost made my list because of the uniqueness. I think at one point you said at the end, the finish there it was like a clove finish. It was so unusual. But then you asked me, Fingers, is this in your liquor cabinet at, I believe, $90 to $95 a bottle? And I thought to myself, well, it's not there for me, so it's hard for me to say, yeah, that's a bourbon of the year, when I listened back and said, great experience, but at that price point, can't be something on my list.
But Rattle and Snap is one of those that it's not even to get. It was memorable, but it wasn't something that made me say, this is what I'm looking for. So I don't even have it as one of my honorable mentions right there. But I've got my list, and Fingers Malloy has his list. We are going to break this down. We're going to do the bourbons, and then next week we will do the cigars of the year. So grab your list. Let's see if you agree or disagree. And if you haven't tried any of these, well, this is going to be the weekend to go out and get them. You might want these on the Christmas table. It's the end of the year, which means you have to do a bourbon of the year. Why? Because those are the rules.
Yes.
It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. We should have rehearsed this. I'm Tony Katz. That right there is Fingers Malloy. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Fingers Malloy, I will start.
Okay.
A break from tradition.
Yes.
With my 3 bourbons of the year. Now, I will say to you a couple of things about this. I chose bourbons, as I stated, based on what hit me. What hit me as something that is memorable? What hit me as something as special? And these 3 all did. I paid no attention to price whatsoever.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
I'm just looking at your list right now, and when we were talking off air, we both realized we have a 1 bourbon on both of our lists.
Correct.
I just assumed it was going to be rye for you.
It is not rye. Though I do have a rye, and I have a rye in my honorable mention. So let us start with my number 3 bourbon of the year, ladies and gentlemen, the Amburana Barrel Bourbon. The Amburana. This was an absolute revelation when we had the chance to drink this. We're talking about all of the different bourbons that are within. You've got 4 different Indiana bourbons. You've got a Kentucky in there. Nothing less than 5 years old. 71% corn once you put the whole blend together. 21% rye. The Amburana, Amburana. This was Big Red, the gum.
Yeah.
It was cinnamon mixed with citrus in this absolutely glorious combination. It was so wonderful. I love barrel bourbon. Barrel bourbon has figured out how to do the finishing kind of stuff that for other people would be a lot of shtick. And they have figured out how to do it just beautifully. So the finish there in those Amburana finishing barrels, I never got like some of the cookie that you got off of that. I got this cinnamon citrus mix that was just beautiful to enjoy. And then this finish that starts off bitter and thin and then slowly filled the cheeks. I thought it was wonderful. $60, $70 a bottle. It is absolutely in my liquor cabinet from Barrel Bourbon, Barrel, Barrel Bourbon, the Amburana, Amburana. Fingers. Mwah.
Well, a couple of things when we talk about bourbons that we like to review. Story means a lot. If bourbon has a good story, it starts to draw me in. The other thing is the process. And when you talk about a bourbon, it's 5 different bourbons?
Correct.
5-year, 6-year, 7-year, 10-year Indiana bourbon and a Kentucky 5-year bourbon. You expect that you're going to pay a handsome price for something like that. And the fact that, it's still reasonably priced and, my goodness, 116 proof?
And didn't play like that at all. At all. Now, sometimes you might find it for $90 or more. I've seen it for $60 to $70. Loved it. That was number 3. Number 2 on my list, I went right to the rye. Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye. Hard Truth is right here in Indiana. Oddly enough, and this was not by design, everything has an Indiana connection. This was not the plan, guys. Just because we live here, just because we operate from here, just because this is home, and we did not just pick things that were Indiana. That was simply coincidence.
Just admit you're a homer. That's okay.
I might be a touch of a homer, but it was all... Wait, last year I had Blue Run on the list, I believe. That wasn't... Wait, was that Indiana? Oh, I can't remember now. Was
that Colorado?
No.
No?
Blue Run? No.
No? Okay.
Yes? No? Yes?
Rules?
Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye. This was excellent because it was fruity, but not overwhelmingly sweet. And of course, being a sweet mash, they're creating basically a new batch each and every time. The spice, I like a rye because I find it to be cleaner. It doesn't, overwhelm with some of the other flavors. But I don't want the spice to overwhelm. I want it to properly complement. And I thought this did it just beautifully. How these sweet flavors build on the spice flavors. How it grows together. And it doesn't overwhelm. That's the key to this rye. And I would use this rye maybe anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe anywhere. The Hard Truth, which comes from Indiana, the Sweet Mash Rye, and one of the best things about this, it's a good size, it's a good strength, I should say, coming in at 115.2 proof, no ethanol. There was zero alcohol on this thing, and that made it a win. That made it worth the table.
Yeah.
100%.
Aged 2 to 3 years. We got a theme here, Tony, which kind of surprises me because usually, and I see this term used online, especially with the more of the bourbon snobs, of people being a proof hua.
Did you actually say that?
A proof hua? Out of the two of us, usually I would be considered that. You went number 3, 116 proof. Your number 2 on the list is 115 proof.
And again, very different for me. But my number 1, we come back down to only 104 proof. My bourbon of the year. My bourbon of the year. The Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon from MGP. Holy crap. When we had it, our conversation was, this was such an incredible orange flavor, an incredible citrus, and then built in this oak finish. And when I'm doing a bourbon, oak matters. I need that to be able to cut through the rest and really build out a flavor profile. It was a touch smoky on the finish. It had every single piece. For as good as the Amburana is from Barrel Bourbon, for as good as the Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye is, and they're excellent, the Penelope Architect, so staggered. The taste bud and the mind, you were like, I never heard of this. This is unbelievable. MGP makes this. They bought the whole brand.
Yeah.
By the way. So this is just one of those, when we talk about the idea of this surprise, this is a revelation. The Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon Whiskey, it with the French oak staves. This was it.
And it proves once again, I know some people are not fans of MGP.
Those people are fools.
Yes, absolutely. Make a great product. This Penelope Architect. Listen, I don't want to give what do the kids say? Spoiler alert. It may be on my list too.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We don't know.
We don't know.
No, we're not gonna say.
But it's a great pick, and wow, all 3 of your picks over 100 proof, ladies and gentlemen.
I went through and I said, what really moved me? And this is what moved me. So here's what you want to try. From Barrel Bourbon, the Amburana, Amburana, the Amburana Cask Finish Series there. The Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye, so good. And my number 1, the Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon Whiskey. That's my list. Figures Malloy has a list. That is coming up. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Christmas is here. Merry Christmas, which also means New Year's Day is right around the corner, which also means New Year's resolutions. And I can tell you, Tony has told me on several occasions this week, his New Year resolution, to love more.
That is true. It's true.
It's
true.
It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Fingers Malloy, along with Tony Katz. Find everything Eat, Drink, Smoke Nation on our website, eatdrinksmokeshow.com. So, New Year's resolutions. You're either for them or against them. Are you a New Year's resolution kind of guy?
No. I am a guy who will, at the end of every year, I do this twice a year, kind of take a look at where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I would like to be doing, and build out plans. I've been doing that for years. I do a little more long-range planning now than in the past, but not specifically New Year's resolutions.
I feel that New Year's is a good time to reflect on what you did the previous year and set goals for the upcoming year. Now, whether you call those resolutions or not, that may be semantics. To set goals for the year, say, okay, I guess you could call them New Year's resolutions. I like to set goals.
Right.
So, and my number 1 goal in 2024 is to love more.
Stop it.
So, good housekeeping, which is where we go a lot of times for our lists And as you know, if you're a fan of this show, the show really should be called Eat, Drink, Smoke List.
It really shouldn't.
65 achievable New Year's resolutions for building a healthy, happy life. We're going to go through all 65 of them right now, Tony.
What?
Or we may come up short. But we're going to try to go through some of these and see if this is something worthwhile. Number one on the list is start a gratitude journal. Keep track of things, people, and events that you're grateful for throughout the year. It can help you improve your mental and physical wellness. Do you keep... you scream gratitude journal to me, Tony.
Are you a grateful person? Do you recognize good things in your life? I think that's very important. But I mean, journaling makes sense, right?
Yes.
I do think that it is a trait of successful people. I do think it creates value, but I think that's about journaling, not specifically gratitude journaling.
I wish I would have kept a journal just to jot down my thoughts at a particular time.
What's stopping you right now?
I mean, I could start right now.
You got your notebook where you put, what did you eat, what did you drink?
That's true.
Every time you're reviewing a cigar or a bourbon.
As you know, I just turned 30. So maybe it's a good time to start journaling. But I wish I would have done that, say, 15, 20 years ago, and I didn't. But as you've said on several occasions, Tony, it's never too late.
It's never too late, fingers away.
Number two, make time for family. I think that's fair.
100%. What's the point of having them if you're not going to enjoy them? It's weird. It's like you think you see people, the work it takes to create a family, and then they don't put the time into building what that family is or enjoying this thing that they've created. I've never understood that. I understand working hard, and sometimes there's a level of sacrifice, but how do you not want to enjoy that moment? They're your kids. It's your spouse.
As long as you set that as a goal, and then don't beat yourself up if you do fall short. Say if you are working a lot, especially in this economy now, trying to keep up with the inflationary pressures in the economy, you're probably working harder to pay the bills. And, when you're doing that, sometimes sacrifices are made, especially when it comes to spending time with the family. If you make that resolution, but then because you're working hard and you do fall short, you just got to say to yourself, I'm going to do better next year instead of beating yourself up over the previous year.
I have found for me that sometimes the answer is, look, I have to do the work, but I can stop 15 minutes early. 15 minutes here and 15 minutes there. And those things add up. People I think, get focused on the concept that there has to be this intensity of time.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's about intensity of time. I believe it is about moments. There are times when my kids and I have a 4-minute conversation that I know is more impactful than any 2-hour kind of bonding event that we could somehow come up with. It was honest, it was real, the answer was direct, they got treated like an adult, their question got answered, you could see them thinking, and maybe it lasts more than 4 minutes, but you get my point.
Yeah.
It just little bits more time here and there. That makes a huge bit of difference. Just the little stuff. Don't think you have to change your whole life overnight. Because what you do to supply for your family and provide for your family matters. Just little bits go a huge way. And for your soul. Really for how you feel as a parent.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, going back to the economy conversation, building a better budget.
Well, that's always a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, look over what you spent the previous year, see what you did right, what you did wrong. Try to do better. We've talked about it a lot on the show. I'm amazed with how prices have gone up, and it seems like people are struggling, and yet we go by restaurants and they're all full. People are still spending money. Should they be spending that money? Are they spending it using cash, or are they putting it on a credit card at 30% interest?
And the $1.08 trillion worth of credit card debt. The going out sometimes is about self-soothing. The spending is about self-soothing. And this is where that concept of doomsday spending comes into play. Well, everything's going to hell. I might as well feel better with a new pair of shoes.
Yeah.
That happens, and then let it all fall where it may. Whatever's going to hit a fan, then it's going to hit a fan. But I've got new shoes, and that's good enough. It's not about austerity measures. It's about control. Control's good, and people lose sight of the fact that responsibility and standards and things like that. These things are good. They help you. You grow better when you do those things. So it's worthwhile to say, you know what? I'm going to put this towards my own retirement. I'm going to put this towards this opportunity. I'm going to put this towards this investment. I'm going to hold on to this here. No, I'm not going to do this thing because I'm doing this thing, and find value in that. Very important.
I'm trying to do a better job of being more serious about my health. And one of the things on the list is commit to a healthier sleep routine, which I think, especially as you start to get a little older, is very, very important.
So you're admitting now that you're getting older?
Yeah, I just turned 30, Tony.
Oh, that's right. That's right there. I would love to have a better sleep routine, but there's sometimes where I don't sleep. There are just some times where, nope, it's not going to happen. Sorry, as much as I want it, as painful as it is. But there's no doubt. But that's also like the idea of taking care of oneself. We've talked. I think we talked about this the other day. I think it was us. That, for my wife and I, if we're not healthy, this family can't be healthy. If she's not taking care of herself, there's no way this family is properly taken care of. It's impossible. It matters greatly.
So what do you do in those situations where you can't sleep? A lot of times what I'll do is I will get out of bed and find a quiet place and meditate to try to clear my mind, because a lot of times I can't sleep because my mind is racing.
Right.
What do you do when you can't sleep?
Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I do kind of things like that, a little bit of stretching and stuff like that, but sometimes it just has to work itself out. I wish I had a fail-safe. Oh, this is exactly what I do. No, man, sometimes it's just got to work itself out. This whole list, we got to put that at eatdrinksmokeshow.com?
Sure.
Now, we have, from Fingers Malloy, his 3 bourbons of the year. We did mine. What are yours? Let us know at eatdrinksmokeshow.com, and we'd love it if you came on over and started supporting what we do. Christmas is upon us. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. This whole holiday season would be better if I didn't have this cold.
I was going to say, are you okay? Do we need to get you a hot toddy?
No. It is this stupid cold, and I know lots of people who have them, and some people have RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, and some people got COVID. With me, it's just a cold. I'm Tony Katz, by the way. And that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. And just the cough part is lingering. A lot of people having this. It's this weird tickle. I've had it checked. I always have the weird tickles checked. That's part of my charm, everybody. And that's all it is. But it's so screwing me up, because I talk for a living.
I was going to say, you do 32 hours of radio a week.
Yes, not including any other video work or anything else. At the minimum. My minimum is 32 hours of radio.
It really is amazing that at the end of the week you still have a voice.
So it's just driving me crazy, but I'm healthy, I'm well, I'm good, I'm gonna make it. And we have been doing our bourbons of the year, and we're gonna get to Fingers Malloy's bourbons of the year coming up. I've got my list from Barrel Bourbon, the Amburana, there coming in at number 3. You got to check it out for yourself with the staves in there, and or I should say with the Amburana barrels. Then number 2, the Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye. And I went big. We're talking about things that are well over 100 proof. We're into the teens with those 2. But my number 1 coming in at 104 proof, the Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon Whiskey, I thought was just heads and shoulders, just special. Wowed me to no end. But when I look at these things, Fingers, and I look at my bourbon of the year as we're here at the end of the year, I don't look at the price at all.
Right.
It does not affect me at all. Doesn't move me. How much, even now that you've had to raise your price points because of economic issues, how much did price come into your head when you were thinking about what is my bourbon of the year?
A lot, because I know people are struggling. I've always considered myself more of the value pick person on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how many times off the air, Tony said it at least once, money shmoney.
That's what I say.
Money shmoney. While I look at things and say to myself, well, people are out there, living paycheck to paycheck, and this is an escape. A lot of times to be able to sit back and have a bourbon and a cigar and get an hour and a half's worth of enjoyment out of it. But, a lot of people can't afford to spend, $50, $60 a bottle on a bottle of bourbon. So I always like to have at least one value pick in my list. And I've had people hammer me about it. You and I have both said Old Granddad 114 is a great bottle for the price. And some people have hit me up and said, oh, I can't believe you can drink that. It's like, listen, I'm not saying it's the best bourbon on the market.
I'm saying it's a classic bourbon.
Yes.
Classic.
Yes. It's a bourbon that I haven't bought a bottle recently, but I'm guessing it's still $25 a bottle. To be able to buy a bottle like that where you can drink it neat and enjoy it because it's got that classic bourbon profile, but also you've got this bottle that if you got friends over, you make an old fashioned for them or make some sort of mixed drink and not feel you're not pulling out the $80 bottle, $100 bottle of bourbon to make them a cocktail. You've got the Old Granddad 114. So for me, I always like to have at least one value bottle on the list, something that people can drink neat, but also have no problem making cocktails for their guests.
The other side of that is, do you feel that there's a price point for you where the bourbon's no longer enjoyable?
Here's what I struggle with when I get a bottle.
Math?
Oh, there's that. Math, grammar, learning to love. Several
straight
things.
lines.
Well, after we're done tonight, that may be true. I struggle when I have that $100 bottle of bourbon. It's like, okay, I'll save it for a special occasion. And then the special occasion doesn't seem to come, and that bottle just sits there because I'm like, well, I can't. Nah, not tonight. Not
right
tonight.
now, there are a million heads shaking in agreement. Like that totally happens to me all the time.
Yeah, so that's where I struggle. It's not so much, the experience, the price point. I will buy something that's $80, $90 a bottle if it's special, but then I have a hard time cracking that bottle.
And this is where you and I differ because it doesn't matter to me if it's $1,000 bottle. Let's open it.
Yeah.
It is meant to be enjoyed. It has to be enjoyed.
Well, I will tell you something. We didn't talk about honorable mentions, but I did have an honorable mention that was a value pick. It's not a bourbon. It's a holiday drink. The Benchmark number 8 eggnog that we had a few weeks ago.
Bought the bottle, $7.50.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely wonderful at that $7.50. There are other companies that make eggnog, and it's not that I think Evan Williams makes an eggnog that's only about $12 a bottle, and that's fantastic. But $7.50 for an eggnog that you can enjoy, again, a value pick.
Seriously, but if you haven't picked it up for Christmas yet and you want to grab something that you could just, it's already made, you just chill it or you can put it over ice or put it in the fridge and just pour it on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or New Year's. It is so good because the blend is perfect. The bourbon doesn't overwhelm and the eggnog is truly present.
Yes.
So it's really well done.
Now, I don't know about you, but to me, I buy that bottle. I don't want it over ice. I would just put it immediately in the refrigerator.
100%. Now, I'm the same way because I don't want to water it down.
Yeah, exactly.
I absolutely true. Also, if you want a milkshake eggnog, like to add to vanilla ice cream,
Yeah.
it is gold. I'm not saying I know it personally. Yes, I am. It is wonderful. So the price does move you. Like
Yes.
there comes a moment where you feel, nah, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I need a specific moment to enjoy.
Yes. And just like with cigars, though, I've had to reevaluate what that price is because of what's happened in the last couple of years with inflation. You know, we used to be where I would really start thinking about it at $14 a stick for a cigar. Like, oh, well, you know, because we've had so many cigars over the years, you know, between $8 and $10 where it's like, well, that's a home run. Why would I spend more? But now everything's gone up. And the same thing is true. Bourbon prices were going up before inflation because of low stock, and the popularity of bourbon has just exploded in the last 5 to 10 years. So you already had to think about prices going up. Now with inflation, it's even worse.
So we have from Fingers Malloy his bourbons of the year. Are they all bourbons?
Yes.
They are all bourbons.
Yes.
And your honorable mention was the benchmark?
Yes. The benchmark, number
Eggnog.
8 eggnog.
I didn't get to my honorable mention. You know what? I'll leave it for later. We will get to everything Fingers Malloy has on his top 3 that is coming up. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Merry Christmas, good people. Merry Christmas. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. Eat, Drink, Smoke. It is your cigar bourbon foodie extravaganza. It is the top 3 bourbon edition. I'm Tony Katz, and that is Fingers Malloy. Fingers, I did my top 3 bourbons. From Barrel Bourbon, the Ambarana, they're coming in at number 3. That bourbon is just wonderful. I did the Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye coming in at number 2, and number 1, the bottle's right here. Oh, hello, beautiful. Hello, lover. The Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon Whiskey with the French oak staves. That was my top bourbon of the year. Just hit me as remarkable in its flavor. Really just, and also with the Penelope, that oak that was able to shine through. My goodness gracious. It was clear for me this was the bourbon of the year. But it's no longer about me, Fingers Malloy. It is about you. You've given your honorable mention to the benchmark number 8 eggnog bourbon at $7.50 a bottle. Mm-hmm. And that was a good choice. That was a fine choice, Fingers Malloy. But now it's time for you to give us your bourbons of the year.
See, I thought you were going to bust out your honorable mention.
My honorable mention was the Stellum Rye. Stellum. It was just a nice, well put together. I mean, this is Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky ryes. This also came in at 116.2 proof. I thought it well played, well put together. But my top 3 is my top 3, and you can find it at eatdrinksmokeshow.com.
So when I was putting this list together, Tony, I said I want at least one value bourbon. And we mentioned Old Granddad 114. I believe it was on my list last year or maybe the year before.
Could have been twice, yeah.
Yeah, and we've actually reviewed that a couple of times on the show. But I'm starting out at number 3 with my value bourbon pick, and it's the Ezra Brooks 99 Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Now,
all right. I think we did that on the back deck.
We did it on your back deck, and I remember you opened the bottle, and I was blown away. I could smell the bourbon out of the bottle from 3 feet away. But it wasn't one of those situations where I was smelling the bottle, or I was smelling the bourbon because, oh my gosh, you could smell this, raw alcohol, coming out. Very pleasant, strong nose. The nose was vanilla, caramel, oak.
Right.
You said you picked up a little bit of the ethanol alcohol. I didn't really pick it up. But what was interesting about the Ezra Brooks was, for me, it was vanilla, caramel, and oak on the nose, but I got chocolate on the palate. But chocolate, oak, and spice. You said you got peanut on it. And also, you couldn't tell. At first, you thought I was crazy about the chocolate, but then about 10 seconds later, he said, oh my gosh, it is. There's like chocolate, or I can't tell if it's chocolate or brown sugar, but there was something very odd that you weren't expecting. It was a total curveball. And, you know, the mash bill, 78% corn, 10% rye, 12% malted barley, 99 proof. It's Ezra Brooks 99 Kentucky Straight Bourbon, $25 to $26 a bottle. It's something that you can drink neat, but then also you have no problem if guests come over and say, you know, I kind of like the taste of bourbon, but could you make me an old fashioned? Can you make a bourbon and Coke? You know, so you're going to think, okay, fine, take the Ezra Brooks. You can have a bourbon and Coke and be totally fine of making that cocktail.
And feel guilt-free.
Yes.
That matters. That matters tremendously. All right, so that's a good choice. Good pick.
Number 2 on my list is the Ben Holiday Bottled in Bond Missouri Straight Bourbon.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that.
Bottled in Bond, 100 proof, obviously, 6-year age. Mash bill, 73% corn, 15% rye, 12% malted barley. Now, I got leather and oak, a little bit of floral, baking spice, and some cinnamon. You got orchard and a little bit of bitterness and some nuttiness on the bourbon as well. And both of us, neither one of us, there was no sting. There was on the tongue. There was no burn in the chest. It's kind of hard to find.
Right.
Which I don't know if that played into your line of thinking at all as far as
Zero.
whether it should be on the list or not.
Zero. I did not question scarcity at all when I made my list.
Yeah, but to me, it just hit all the right notes. But it also, because of that little bit of floral, along with the classic oak and leather and that baking spice, it was definitely worth it. $60 a bottle. That's when you can start thinking, right? But
by the way, Holiday,
solid.
Holladay.
Yes.
Ben Holiday Bottled in Bond Missouri Straight Bourbon.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that. We had done that with the Emperor Yao cigar from El Septimo. So that was early in the year 2023. First couple, I think it was February.
Right.
We did that one. Nice. That's a good pull. That's a fun kind of pull. Was this you went back and you were like, oh my gosh, I forgot we did that? Or did that kind of stay with you?
So I like to update our spreadsheet. We have a spreadsheet of what we reviewed, cigars and bourbon. And I was going over the list, and I saw some things that we'd reviewed in the past, and I thought, well, maybe I would put that on. And then I saw that. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I remember that, and that stuck out to me as something that was worth it. And I kind of like the rare pick, something you don't see everywhere. So, between it being rare and being just excellent juice, that's number 2. And number 1 on the list.
Hold on. What does the Ben Holiday bourbon, what does that go for?
About $60 a bottle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't remember. Okay, that's a price, kitten.
Yeah.
That's a price
but it's
right
worth
there.
It. But it's
All
worth
right,
it.
Man.
And then number 1 on the list, the Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon, finished with French oak staves. I mean, I'm with you. I think it's fantastic. So
this is a first, by the way.
Yeah.
We have never agreed on the top bourbon.
Yeah, for me, on the nose, earthy, citrus. You said earthy. Excuse me. I thought it was kind of mossy, like almost like a little bit of a Scotch, but on the palate, oak is there. Citrus, white grape. To me, you said it was a syrupy orange, and at 104 proof, doesn't play over 100 proof. That's my number 1.
That's a solid pick, and only because it's my pick as well. But you and I have different palates. We have different approaches to it.
Yeah.
And it's weird that we get different things out of the bourbon, out of the Penelope Architect Straight Bourbon Whiskey with the French oak staves. But when I say we're different, it really is a level of divergence that is palpable. So you didn't pay any attention to price on this one, just like you didn't pay attention to price on the Ben Holiday. How does this, in your palate, register over some of those more? You can handle more intensity. You can handle more punch. We often talk about Do we feel heat in the center of chest, or where do we feel it? And you sometimes don't feel anything. You don't feel anything at all. How did this rank over some of those other stronger punch in the face bourbons?
I didn't feel like it played at that 104. You know when you're drinking one Old Granddad 114, it's 114 proof. This doesn't play that.
So now we get into where other people are with their bourbons. What is their list? Now that list can be from what it is that we have at eatdrinksmokeshow.com, and you should go check that out. But what we'd love from you are the recommendations for next year. Where should we be drinking? You've got our list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know. eatdrinksmokeshow.com. But where should we be drinking next? One of the things we want to do for 2024 is really, really expand the horizons. Get into the things that people are talking about, trend-wise, and get into the things that only you know about and nobody else is looking at or drinking. We want to get into that. We thought when we first had Penelope, we're like, wow, look what we found. A lot of people have found Penelope.
Right.
A lot of people have found the Penelope bourbon. I want to hear where you're at.
Absolutely. So go to eatdrinksmokeshow.com and let us know. We have been doing our best to try to keep up with all the latest buzz terms. If you've been listening to Eat, Drink, Smoke, we brought you coffee badging.
Right.
We brought you quiet quitting.
Right.
And we brought you sleep divorce.
We sure did.
And now there is a Hollywood actress who recently got on a podcast and declared she's all in on the sleep divorce. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Fingers Malloy along with Tony Katz. Get the book, Let's Go Barbecue. Oh, you know what? And you should get the book, Let's Go Bourbon. They're both available at Amazon.com. Tony and I wrote them both.
We did.
So, sleep divorce. We talked about this. The story came up, 6 months ago, where married couples are saying, you know what, love you, honey, but I need my own bedroom. And they go to their separate quarters at night. Cameron Diaz, she is married to Good Charlotte guitarist Benji Madden.
Is that right?
Yeah, they got married in 2015. She's 51.
Oh, mazel tov.
And she was on a podcast recently, and she said, to me, I have my own house. You have yours. She said, we have the family house in the middle. I go and sleep in my room. You go to sleep in your room. I'm fine. I mean, why get married?
Wait, hold on. Her own house. They each have their own separate house and a house in the middle.
Doesn't everybody?
Well, no.
Oh.
But it's very clear that the Leave It to Beaver people had a point. And now they did it because they couldn't show the cohabitation, as if somehow babies never got made.
Leave It to Beaver, they had separate bedrooms?
They had separate beds.
That was Isle of Lucy, right? They had the twin beds.
Wasn't that also Leave It to Beaver?
I don't remember.
I assume all of those shows.
I don't remember the bedroom scenes in Leave It to Beaver.
Well, those are the best scenes. But there's something to be said.
So many jokes.
There's
Go ahead.
something to be said for, I need my space. I need my alone time. It's like if you have family that the spouse is going to go away for a couple days, visit family or do whatever, taking the kids, and all of a sudden you realize you've got the house to yourself for 3 days, and you're like, should I feel guilty? No.
And then all of a sudden, it's the scene from Risky Business where you slide across the living room in your underwear and you start lip syncing to songs. Is that what happens?
No.
Oh.
I assume you just set up the air fryer and eat wings until you throw up all over yourself.
I'll tell you what I do. The first thing I do is my kids hate the smell of banana peppers.
What?
Hate the smell of banana peppers. I don't do it all the time, but I love a pizza with banana peppers and pineapple.
I'm trying to think what banana peppers smell like.
I'm told feet.
Really?
So at least with the kids, I have a pizza divorce. They can't stand it. So if I have the house to myself, one of the first things I do is I get my banana pepper and pineapple pizza because it grosses everybody out in the house.
It's a good combination, by the way.
Yeah.
And pineapple on pizza is fine. It's going up in popularity. That's a weird thing to have a smell thing about.
Yeah, I hear you. But going back to this really quick, there's another quote here. Cameron Diaz says of her and her relationship, in her marriage, and we have the bedroom in the middle that we can convene in for our relations. So that they each have separate bedrooms, and then they have a bedroom in the middle where they, you know. So, again, what do you...
Hold on,
Is that
wait.
on your calendar?
Hold on, wait. You say I know. I know?
You know.
I know. Hold on. Oh! Oh, yeah, I know. I know. I just don't think you need separate houses for that. But the idea that you might want to sleep separately, I don't think that's weird at all.
Okay, I don't... listen, I get that. So, it may be a situation where your spouse goes to bed early and you want to stay up and watch TV, and then you end up saying to yourself, you know what, rather than going into the bedroom and maybe waking her up, you just sleep on the couch or fall asleep in the chair. I can see that, but, I've got my bedroom over on this side of the house, and my wife has her bedroom on this side of the house. I ask at that point, where's the divorce lawyer stay?
I think that's more traumatizing to the children, because when you see the parents both go to the same bedroom, then you know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
At least they go to the same bedroom every night if they're sharing the same bedroom every night. But when they go into the strange bedroom in the middle, that scars the kids.
Well, I guess maybe there are things like are you a snorer? Do you snore?
Yes.
Like that could be a thing.
Yeah, I guess.
I go through phases. I didn't snore for forever, and then I snored terribly, and now it's gone. But that's been weight related and some other things. As I've lost weight, that's gone away.
Well, I listen. I know that people get married because they love each other almost as much as you love the TSA.
Stop. You are not doing a TSA story on Christmas.
You may be happy about this.
You're the worst.
The TSA is going to test out new self-service screening process.
I'm going to punch you. I'm going to punch everybody. You and I are getting a sleep divorce. They're whating now?
They're going to test out a new self-service screening process. The TSA self-screening option is coming to Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas come January.
Didn't we do this? This is where we experienced it. Where you had to put your baggage on, you had to get your eyes scanned and everything. What?
Yeah.
So they're now building this out. Now they're proud of it?
Yeah, the Department of Homeland Security in a news release announced that pre-check passengers will be the first to use the new technology that allows them to complete the screening process with minimal to no assistance from TSA agents.
Well, that's no different than what you get now. There's no real assistance. I don't believe in TSA pre-check at all. You pay for your rights? Oh, that's not cool. I'm surprised. I can't believe I'm the only person who discusses this. If you have the money, you'll get treated better. That is as un-American as a thought as anything else. And for all the people who are traveling this holiday season, just remember that. It's one thing to buy a first-class seat. You have a choice. But this is about the security. But you get better security treatment if you write a check?
Yeah, that is America.
No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
People with money are treated differently?
Equal under the law should not is the government. If you want to engage in luxury items on your own, that's up to you.
Should not. Totally agree with you. Real world, totally different discussion.
You are a savage.
It wasn't my idea. If it were up to me, the TSA would be gone.
You thought this was the greatest thing ever. Thank goodness for the TSA. You'd pay $20 for a blue glove to be on you right now.
Whenever I see a TSA story, I just want to introduce it to you and our audience and speak my truth about it.
Oh, you are. What else could you possibly throw in there? And when I show up to the airport, pajamas and flip-flops. I'm getting ready to fly. I'm flying to Florida for a few days.
Nice.
Suit is ready.
Swimsuit?
Suit is that too, but the suit is oddly enough, my swimsuit, 3-piece. comes with the vest and everything.
I was going to say, a lot of people nowadays like to swim with a dickie.
That's a piece of clothing, people. Don't send emails. And if you do, fingers@eatdrinksmokeshow.com. I really hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas. Check out our bourbons. If you missed our bourbons of the year, they will be up at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. And then we will bring next week our cigars of the year. My list is fantastic. Fingers Malloy. Cigars of the year coming. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. This is Eat Drink Smoke.
Follow Eat Drink Smoke on social media, on Twitter @Go Eat Drink Smoke, on Facebook, facebook.com/Eat Drink Smoke, and Instagram @Eat Drink Smoke Podcast.